Hey everybody, it is July 16th, 2009. I'm Sonic Suns, and I'm here to talk to you about an announcement made by the people over at Google. And if you work at Google, please watch this video. I have some ideas for you. Anyway, Google, if you haven't heard of them, is crazy. How have you not heard of them? You're on the internet, aren't you? You're watching this video, aren't you? They've gotten really big. They're starting to rival with Microsoft. And they got into a whole bunch of markets here, obviously search engines and so forth. Which, by the way, Microsoft's trying to get into search engines with Bing. And they got some interesting stuff, but it's not getting a whole lot of popularity, you know. Not going to take down Google in the near future. Which may be the same thing for Google's foray in the other direction. Their operating system, Google Chrome, which they actually already have an operating system. It's called Android. It works on like smartphones and stuff, and theoretically can work on basically all sorts of things. But I'm making another one called Google Chrome. You may have heard the term Google Chrome because there's a browser called Google Chrome. They like calling it Google Chrome, just to throw in the Google there. You see, I mean, name brand is actually very important. At the moment, in the operating system world, there's Microsoft Windows. That's got like practically everything, and then there's Mac, which has been just holding on to like a few percentage points. Since ever, we got a little bit here, making sure Microsoft doesn't have everything. Yay for that. And then there's my favorite, Linux, or specifically Ubuntu Linux. So there are all those sorts of Linux. Which has got maybe 1% of the market, depending on how you count it, and yada yada. Now the thing is that Apple, the Mac OS and Linux are really as good as Windows, but Windows has a huge share of the market. Why is that? Inertia. It comes down to inertia. Everyone uses Windows because everyone uses Windows. Everyone makes their programs for Windows because people use Windows. And people, use Windows because their program is on Windows. Even me, I love Linux. I got Ubuntu on my laptop, but I'm dual booting with Windows because there's a couple of programs that I just can't get to work on Ubuntu. I'm sorry. But, as I've said before, things are shifting in the digital world, and don't they always? Things are moving much more online. The whole point of the OS, when it was first conceived, was to do basically everything on the computer. And then online came, and that's cool. We added that function. Everyone's cool with it. There's a browser. Comes with Windows called Internet Explorer. I'm sure you've heard of it. Then comes along a browser, open source. That's, the sort of thing, the stuff that gives us Linux, called Firefox. Firefox steps in, and they don't have a majority market share, but they've been taking a bite these last few years. Why? Because the internet is so much more flexible. When you install an operating system, you have to go in from scratch. You have to, just delete all your files, basically, or maybe you have multiple partitions. You put your file partition. You don't realize how the average person reacts when you say partition? They don't know what it is. And since they don't know what it is and it's something to do with computers, they panic. So you're kind of stuck with an operating system, right? But with a browser, with a random program, particularly a browser, because people use browsers all the time, and particularly because a browser has to access stuff way off on other computers, so it's not like, oh, I have this one file that I made and only program X can access it. No. If it's a file that you made that's meant to be online, if it's HTML and so forth, that's online code for those of you who don't know but still are watching my videos apparently, that stuff needs to be accessed by everybody. It's built for everybody. Firefox can do like 99% of what Internet Explorer can do. And for that matter, Internet Explorer only does 99% of what Firefox does. There's a few things Internet Explorer doesn't do quite well. It doesn't do fast enough, or doesn't, etc., etc. So Firefox, open source, taking a chunk out of Microsoft, the great and mighty Microsoft and the Internet Explorer. And things are moving more and more online. Google is born, of the Internet age. It's the whole thing they do is search engines online. What's the point of a search engine if you're not online? Everything's online. They're making applications to go online. You can do like, Word, text documents. Got to call them Word documents. That's Microsoft. Text documents, all online. You can do like spreadsheets. You can do email, And Gmail, that's what they call it, is really great. On the other hand, most people still use Outlook, which is Microsoft's program, because inertia. And that's what comes with, their business computers. That's where they really get it, is in business. And everything just ships with Outlook. On home computers, I don't know exactly what email services most people use. Anyway, stuff moving online. Google's looking at this. They make themselves a browser, Google Chrome, which doesn't have much market share, but it's got some interesting ideas, and it's open source, or at least mostly. The slight thing, Chrome is based on Chromium. Chromium's open source, but Chrome is not. Chrome is like 99.9% the same thing. It's like Chromium with the Google logo tacked on top. I don't know. Anyway. So now, Google announces they're doing an operating system. And it's going to be out at the end of 2010, so we got a while. But the idea, so far as they've announced, has been a little vague, but the idea is to be an online operating system. Everything is online. Just basically, the OS is the browser, more or less. And you're meant to do all your applications. The thing is that you can do documents online, all that online. So naturally, you can put this on computers, like laptops, like netbooks specifically. It's the little tiny laptops that are really just meant to be online. Put Google on that, you're thinking. And maybe we could just sort of needle at Microsoft. If nothing else, they would just like to tick off Microsoft. Just because they can. Kind of why Microsoft made Bing. Like, okay, we're not sure if we're going to make huge market gains here, but we're trying. Just to make Google annoyed at us. Or something like that. Now, first thought of this, I thought this is going to be great. Everyone's getting on it. And then I thought, wait a minute. It's true that there's the incredible inertia. But Google's a couple things outside. Number one, brand name. It's Google. You can just imagine some business guy going like, okay, we have the Microsoft here and the Google here, and the Google one is faster. Well, let's do that. I don't know, that's an opinion I've heard. Yeah, just imagine Microsoft and Google. They're pretty well-known stuff. And Google is meant to be faster. That's what it's going to do. It's going to be very minimalist, built from the ground up just to do the internet stuff properly, to do it fast as possible, to boot really fast, to not have any viruses or malware or adware or any of that crap. Because, first off, it's going to be based on Linux, and Linux, as we know, is basically immune to that, partially because it's designed well, and partially because no one writes their viruses to work on Linux because everyone is using Windows. Anyway, they're going to have all that.